Hello everyone. On this video we will be looking at the area and perimeter of polygons. Okay, so first let's explain what a polygon is. A polygon is a shape that has three or more straight sides and has three or more angles. Okay, so a triangle is an example of a polygon. Okay, you have three sides, three or more, and you have three angles. Same here. A rectangle is an example of a polygon. You have four sides and you have four angles. And this shape here is exactly the same thing. Example of a polygon. Four sides, four angles. This is an example of a polygon. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 5, 6 sides. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 angles. And this is an example of a polygon. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 sides and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 angles. Well, 5 sides and 5 angles. Okay, these are all polygons. Okay, now if we scroll up, see this circle? No straight sides, not a polygon. You see this? You have 3 straight sides and 1 non-straight side, not a polygon. Here you have 4 straight sides, but you have this non-straight side here, not a polygon. For polygon, you have to have 3 or more straight sides and 3 or more angles. All right. So if you're still drawing these, feel free to press pause, but we're going to go ahead and move on to our next page. And this will discuss the vertex. Okay, so the vertex of a polygon is just the point where lines meet up. So it's kind of like the corners. Okay, so here on this shape, I just drew some random shape. You have A, B, C, D, E, and F. All of those are your vertices, which is when you have more than one vertex. That's the plural for vertex. Okay, so the notation, if you see A and B with a line across it, that's the line between the two vertices A and B. If you see B and C with the line over it, that's just representing this line here between the vertices B and C. If you see E and F with a line over it, that's just representing this line here between points E and F. And the rest of them are the same way. If you saw D and E with a line over it or ED with a line over it, it's just this line. If you saw AF or FA with a line over it, that's just this line. Okay, so the line over it just tells you exactly which line you're looking for on that particular vertex or that particular shape. All right, so if you're still writing, feel free to press pause. But we're going to go ahead and do a few examples. Okay, so let's say you're looking for the perimeter. The perimeter is probably the easiest thing to find on these shapes because you're just adding the sides together. Okay, so what I want you to do, I want you to find the perimeter of these two shapes. Okay, so this one has 16 yards, 24 yards, 16 yards, 24 yards. And this one has 16.5 centimeters, 7.2 centimeters, 14.3 centimeters, and 11.4 centimeters. I want you to find the perimeter of those two. So go ahead and press pause and find those. All right, so I'm assuming you've pressed pause and you've already found the perimeter of these two shapes. So let's go ahead and verify. Okay, so the perimeter, you're just adding those together. So your perimeter is going to equal 16 yards plus 24 yards plus 16 yards plus 24 yards. Okay, so the perimeter of this shape is just 80 yards. Okay, so what about the bottom shape? Same thing. You just add your sides together. So your perimeter is going to equal 16.5 centimeters plus 7.2 centimeters plus 14.3 centimeters plus 11.4 centimeters. Okay, so your perimeter is going to equal 49.4 centimeters. Okay, so finding the perimeter is not too bad. All right, so if you're still writing, feel free to press pause and finish up. But we're going to go ahead and move on to our next page, where we start talking about the areas. Okay, so first we're going to look at a special type of polygon called a quadrilateral. And quadrilateral are just polygons with 4 sides. That's as complicated as it gets. So if you have a polygon with 4 sides, you have a quadrilateral. Okay, so the types of quadrilateral includes parallelograms, and parallelograms, just by the name having parallel in it, all the opposite sides are parallel and they're the same length. So if you look at this rectangle, these 2 sides are parallel to each other and they're also the same length. These 2 sides are parallel to each other and they're the same length. If you look at this square, these 2 sides are parallel to each other and the same length. Same thing with these 2 sides, parallel and the same length. If you look here, these 2 sides are parallel to each other and they're the same length. These 2 sides are parallel to each other and the same length. All right, so let's look at the area of a rectangle. Oh, let me see if I can clear this up a little bit. That's a little bit better. Okay, so the area of a rectangle is just the length times the width. Okay, same thing with this one, the length times the width. So to find the area, you find the space inside the rectangle. Remember, the perimeter is finding the length of the outside. The area is finding the length of the inside, or the amount of space on the inside. So the area is the length times the width, and this one it would be length times width. It doesn't matter which one you make the length or the width, you'll get the same answer. So that's area equals length times width. Now for a square is just a parallelogram where all the sides are equal. Okay, so normally for a square, they will give you only one side, but it's just, if all sides are equal, whatever this side is, this one's the same. Okay, so the area of a square is just the side times the side, or the side squared. In other words, length times width. Okay, now if they give you the area and they want you to find the side is just the square root of the area. All right, so if you're still writing or drawing, feel free to pause it. We just have one more to go over before we jump into a few examples. And that is the area, let me move this down, of other parallelograms. Now if you see other parallelograms, in most cases, they'll give you the base and the height. Now the height is just the distance from the bottom of the shape of the parallelogram and the very top of it. Same thing here. This is the base. The base is just the bottom of it. And the height is just the distance from the base to the top of it. Same thing here. The base is at the bottom, the length of the bottom, and your height is the distance from the bottom to the top. Okay. Now remember, with shapes like this, if they give you a distance here, let's say if they make this 5, this is not your height. That's the length of that side. This would be your height. And the area is equal to the base times the height, which is the base times height. All right. So if you're still writing, feel free to pause it. But we're going to go ahead and move on to a couple of examples. Okay, so what if we want to find the perimeter and area of each figure? All right. So what I want you to do, I want you to go ahead and press pause and try to do this one on your own. All right, I'm assuming you've tried this one on your own, so let's go ahead and verify. So for A, I'm just going to do a quick draw of that. Since they only gave you the length of one side, we can assume that's a square, and all the lengths are the same. Okay, so all of those are 5 inches. That means your perimeter is equal to 5 inches plus 5 inches plus 5 inches plus 5 inches, which is 20 inches. Okay, so that's your perimeter. Now your area is equal to the length of your sides squared. And I'll draw a little line through the S so it won't look like a 5. Okay, so that's going to equal 5 inches times 5 inches, because 5 inches squared is just 5 inches times 5 inches. Okay, so 5 times 5 is 25, and inches times inches is square inches. Okay, so we have the perimeter and we have the area. All right, so let's go ahead and try to verify B. Okay, so I'll just do a quick sketch of the, that one. So let's say this is 16 inches and this is 27 inches. Okay, so the perimeter, once again, we just add all the sides together. Oh, sorry about that. I put the 27 inches in the wrong side. There we go. Okay, so if this is 16 inches, then that means the side opposite of it is 16 inches. So you have 16 inches plus 16 inches. So this is 27 inches. This side is 27 inches. So plus 27 inches plus 27 inches. Okay, remember, it's a parallelogram, so the opposite sides are quadrilateral. The opposite sides are equal. So 16 plus 16 plus 27 plus 27 is equal to 86 inches. Okay, so we found our perimeter. Now our area, because this is a rectangle, is equal to the length times the width. Okay, so that's going to equal, it doesn't matter which one you make, the length or the width, you'll get the same answer. Okay, so that will be 16 inches times 27 inches. 16 times 27 is 432, and inch times inch is square inches. Okay, so it's not too bad. All right, so if you're still writing this, feel free to press pause, but we're going to go ahead and move on to our next example. Okay, and I want you to try this one. Okay, so what if it says, what is the cost of refinishing a wood floor in a room 35 feet by 20 feet at a cost of $225 per square foot? And just a hint, try drawing a picture first. Excuse me. Okay, so go ahead and press pause and finish this one up on your own. All right, so I'm assuming you've pressed pause, so let's go ahead and verify. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw our room. And let's say this is 20 feet by 35 feet. Okay, so this is the area of the floor we're going to refinish. Okay, so we need to know the area. So the area equals the length times width. Okay, so that's going to be 20 feet by 35 feet. Okay, so that means our area is going to equal 700 square feet. Okay, so now we know this is a cost of $2.25 per square foot. we have 700 square feet, so we know the cost is going to equal $2.25 times the 700 square feet. Okay, so that cost is going to be $1,575. Okay, so it's pretty handy to know this stuff depending on what you're using it for. All right, so if you're still writing this, feel free to pause it, but we're going to go ahead and move on to our last example. And that involves the area of a trapezoid. Now, a trapezoid does not have two sets of parallel sides. A trapezoid have one set of parallel sides and two sides that are not parallel. Okay, so if you see here, the base 1 and base 2 are your parallel sides. The other two sides are not parallel. Same thing here. These two sides are parallel. These two sides are not. Okay. Now, when you have your two parallel sides, those are your bases. So to find the area of that trapezoid, you're going to add the length of those two bases, divided by 2, and then multiply that by your height. Okay, the height, sometimes they put it on the inside, sometimes they put it on the outside, same thing. So the area of a trapezoid is base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2, then get that number and multiply it by the height. All right, so if you're still writing this, feel free to pause it, but we're going to go ahead and do one last example. So what if we want to find the perimeter and the area for this shape? So you have 27.2 meters, 17.8 meters, 26.5 meters, 43.4 meters, and the height is 23.6. Okay, so you go ahead and press pause and try to do this one on your own. All right, I'm assuming you've already paused it. Now we know the perimeter, we're just going to add our sides together. Has nothing to do with the height on this one. We don't even need the height. Okay, so you have 27.2 meters plus 17.8 meters plus 26.5 meters plus 43.4 meters. Okay, so you add those together and you will get 114.9 meters. Okay, so what about the area? Well, we see here that it's a trapezoid because you have your two parallel lines and your two non-parallel lines. Okay, so the area of that trapezoid is base number 1 plus base number 2 divided by 2 times the height. Okay, so we can see here you have base number 1 and base number 2. So that's going to equal 43.4 meters plus 17.8 meters divided by 2. The height is 23.6 meters. Okay, so you can see to find the area, we don't need these sides. Okay, so this is going to equal 61.2 meters divided by 2 times 23.6 meters. Okay, 61.2 divided by 2 is 30.6. So you have 30.6 meters times 23.6 meters. Multiply those two together, you will get 722.16 square meters. They want us to round to the nearest tenth. So that will end up giving us 722.2 square meters for the area of this particular trapezoid. All right. So hopefully this made sense, and I will see you on the next video.